You're listening to the Pillaging Podcast, companion podcast to PillagingJustForFun.com. That's PJ4F.com, the only Raider fan site made by Raider fans for Raider fans. Tune in every week wherever podcasts are found. Call in and leave a message to be played on air at 408-909-PJFF. This episode brought to you by Creative Media Design Studio. Check them out at CreativeMediaMonterey.com. It's time to pillage another podcast. I'm your host, Kenny Stapler. What's good, Che? Che, what's good? Hey, yo, Che. Che's not here this week. That's why Che's not responding. It's been an eventful week, to say the least, of Raider Nation, in my life, in your life, hopefully as well. We've been gone for some time. It's been about 21 days since we've been on the air. Dang, that's a long time. Che was scheduled to make it tonight. They just got back from a family trip. Some of the family is under the weather. Baby girl's under the weather. His girl's under the weather. I hope he does not mind me saying that. So we wish them the best recovery possible. Don't know if it's anything too serious right now, but always had to hear someone sick like that, especially in heat like this. I'll tell you guys right now, it's about 90 degrees in the studio, and I've shut off the fan just for your listening pleasure. It's creating quite a bit of noise. But nevertheless, the show goes on this week. I'm back in the chair, so we're going to keep it pushing. Quite a few things to get to, actually, in this doldrum time of the offseason. We actually have some news coming to the surface. Some of it good, some of it not so good. Most of it maybe not so good. We do have a guest this week. I want to shout him out. It's Scott Odell. He's the narrator of the audiobook Behind the Raider Shield, a book that we covered some time ago. We had co-author John Kingdon on the air. So thank you to John Kingdon, to Bruce Kebrick, and Steve Corcoran for writing that book to begin with. And a big thank you to Scott for coming on the show this week. We will have Kane's Corner later in the show. That's probably going to be an extended segment. I got confused there. I was texting Kane right now. He's ready to go. He's waiting in the wings. We went to the Ricky Sports Bar event together. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and let's set it off. Little technical difficulties here. We're going to work through it. I'm a little bit rusty. It's okay. It's all right. Just bear with me, folks. Greg Papa and Tom Flores are out as a radio broadcast team for the Oakland Raiders. Papa had been the successor to Bill King and the official voice of the Oakland Raiders for over 20 years. Flores, along with his list of accolades, was a color commentator alongside Papa during that 20-year stretch. This is no doubt the end of an era. A lot of people right now are pretty upset about this. I'm seeing a lot of local fans especially very upset about this. I don't want to take that tired take of if you're not from here, you don't get it, but I think a lot of it is that. You have to understand that since 1997, we've been writing with Greg Papa during a time where the Raiders, they were susceptible to a lot of blackouts. Let's just say that. We had the blackout rule. Now, I went to games a lot during that time, and I will tell you that never once did I see that stadium under capacity. We had the blackout rule in effect. We had to sell out tickets prior to like Thursday at 11 a.m. But there was a lot of walk-up purchases during that time. You had people like me coming to the stadium on Sunday, tailgating, walking up to the box office and buying your ticket direct. And part of that was just because we had the OFMA fees, the additional service fees, and if you bought them from the box office, you don't have to worry about that. Also, back then, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. Friday's payday. I get my paycheck Friday. I roll to the game with cash in hand. I know I'm going to get a ticket, and I'll sit wherever I get a seat. I'm not really that choosy, and that's what it was. And if we weren't going to games and the blackout was in effect, your best bet to see the game or to follow the game was to listen to the Raiders flagship station at that time, which was the Ticket 1050. Those of you from the Bay Area know about KTCT. That was an affiliate of KMBR 680. It was basically the Raiders station. It was the East Bay sports station. They covered the Raiders, the Warriors, and the A's. I do miss that station. You had JT the Brick on there. You had Papa. You had Jim Rome in the morning. It was not it was not Sports Talk. It was Sports Smack. That was their tagline. It was a good show. It was a good station. And you had Papa on there, and riding along with them was Tom Flores for nearly 20 years as well, along with his great list of accolades. Tom Flores was the color commentator alongside Greg Papa. Both of those guys are going to be missed. I know I got through a lot of games listening to Papa. That was before the era of illegal internet streaming and all of these sites that a lot of us have to use. Those of you that are outside the broadcast area, don't have the NFL ticket on Sunday. Those kinds of things. Papa's going to be missed. I know a lot of people, even watching the games on TV, would sync up the radio broadcast with the TV broadcast just to hear Papa over everybody else. And I know I've done that too. And those of you that didn't do either, you liked hearing the calls back on the radio or hearing the calls over the highlights that you watch on YouTube. Just that touchdown Raiders call, infamous. We're going to continue to use that call here on the Pillaging Podcast. As you know, that's one of our sound drops, and we are not dropping it, for lack of a better word. I'm going to miss Greg Papa. We're going to talk more about this with Raider Kane as we get later in the show. But, man, and to top it all off, he got fired while he was on vacation. So it's Sunday right now. I know he returns from his break tomorrow. He'll be on 95.7 The Game. I know some of you are salty because he does talk Niners. Hey, I'm salty about that too. But he's got a job, and he does work for the station when he's not working for the Raiders, which he's not anymore. But when he's not in the booth, he's not a Raiders employee. He's an employee of the game. And you got to talk about what drives the ratings. And according to them, it's the Niners. But hey, you don't have to listen to them no more. You can listen to us. Plenty of other podcasts out there. A lot of good talent there. It's a multifaceted conversation. You can listen to our show, get our takes, and of course you can listen to everyone else's. And as you guys know, we support everyone's voice here in the Raider Nation. So moving on. Musburger and Lincoln Kennedy are the new duo. They're going to be moving into the booth as Papa and Flores move out. This is an odd one, man. Musburger is catching a lot of flack. I believe he's like 79 years old. He's an older cat. Flores was an older cat too, and he's losing his job. Brent's gaining a job. What Brent has to do with Raider Nation, I really don't know, other than the fact that he resides in Las Vegas right now. He's been in the broadcasting game since about 1973. He began a sports writing career in 1968 with the now defunct Chicago's American newspaper. Musburger, long-spanning career, many important moments, many important games, but, nothing really to do with the Raiders. I think that's everyone's issue with it. I think the only real good thing that I'm anticipating out of this is because of his long career and his voice alongside big games is anytime Musburger announces a game, it kind of has a big game feel to it. So there's that. Secondly, he's got some funk that comes along with his accolades, and that goes back all the way to 1973. He was announcing, or actually I think he was writing about the Olympics at that time, and he was referring to Tommy Smith and John Carlos's protest of racial injustice in the U.S. Now, both of these guys, they took the medal stand, and they did the Black Power protest. They had their fists in the air, resonated with a lot of people. I think just a brilliant display of freedom of speech and whatnot. We're starting to see echoes of that now in today's era of sports, and it's also being met with criticism. Well, back then, it was Musburger that had the criticism. In reference to their Black Power salute on the medal stand in 68, Brent described the brave duo as a couple of black-skinned stormtroopers whose actions were ignoble and juvenile. Strong words, man, and that stuff really stuck with him throughout his career. I think when they made the announcement, people were already bringing this up, and it's interesting. And I'm not saying that people can't change. I'm not going to not Brent for this one quote, but it's in my opinion a horrible quote. Pretty shocking. I didn't really know about this until recently, to be honest with you. I'll be 100% transparent. I found out about this with the news of his hiring, and I just thought to myself instantly, well, how's that going to fly in today's NFL? We've already talked about this, so I'm not going to reset the whole topic and give you my thoughts and opinions on it. Those of you that have been listening already know where I stand. Those of you that don't, you can go back and find it in an older episode. But it's kind of an odd move, especially with the Raiders' history alongside racial equality and equal rights, stuff like that. Employing the first African American head coach, the first female team executive, and Amy Trask. Of course, Tom Flores' history with the team as a Latino quarterback, head coach, Jim Plunkett, another Native American quarterback, and also a broadcaster with the team right now. So it's an odd move. It kind of goes a little bit against the grain. I'm curious to see what Papa has to say about that, considering this is a Mark Davis move, and he's been very critical of Mark Davis throughout the years here, and I think probably part of the equation of what led to his firing. That and his interest in the Niners job. Can you imagine Papa doing the touchdown Niners call? I can't. It's not going to bother me because I don't listen to Niners broadcast on the radio, so I'm probably not going to hear it, but just knowing about it really gets on my nerves. So this whole thing is just a head scratcher to me. I didn't think Papa was going to make the jump to Vegas. I did say in an earlier broadcast that it wouldn't be shocking if he did, and would it be shocking if he didn't? It's a quick plane flight over there, but I think the Raiders organization is one of those all or nothing type organizations. Once you start critiquing the management, once you start putting out your interest in the opposing Bay Area team, the writing's kind of on the wall for you at that point. In some ways, you can say this is an Al Davis move, but on the other hand, you can say that Al Davis would probably have been loyal to Papa and done what he could have. But the minute Papa starts going against the grain, that's what happens. So it's a complicated matter, and again, we'll get into this in the second half. This is quick hits. I'm really just trying to set the table here, but the bottom line is it should be an interesting year. We'll miss you, Greg and Brent. Don't get out of pocket, man. Rest in peace, Tony Sperano. Sperano had a 5-year stint with the Raiders where he served as the offensive line coach and the interim head coach after the firing of Dennis Allen in 2014. Sperano, known in Raider Nation as the man who buried a football and kept a losing team in the fight. During that year in 2014, he went 3-3 down the stretch and also delivered Derek Carr's first ever victory, pro career victory. I believe we were 0-10 at the time, facing the Kansas City Chiefs. And on a rainy day, Derek Carr gets the W. Tony was later replaced by Jack Del Rio. Sperano died today, July 22nd, at the young age of 56. Cause of death is still unknown at this time, but is presumed to be a heart attack. Thoughts go out to you, Tony. Very much so. You're a cool dude, man. The sunglasses, the shades, the swagger, the way that you kept this team fighting, even amidst a dismal season, a downtime for the organization, in the wake of Al Davis's passing, all of that, just a very odd, interesting time for the team. You carried the torch there for a while, and I know that your players appreciated you. The fans very much appreciated you. A couple words from his former players, Donald Penn. Penn says, "Damn, I'm at a loss for words. Rest in peace, Coach Sperano. Taught me so much, not just about football, about life. Also, one of the biggest reasons why I signed with the Raiders was because of you, Coach. Thanks for everything. Love you. Rest in peace." Derek Carr chiming in, "Sperano family, I am so sorry for your loss. Coach believed in me, trusted me, and stuck with me as a rookie. He would check on my family every head coach and QB meeting we would have. He was a great man. I love you, Coach." You can feel the sentiments. You can definitely feel the love from former players, and all you got to do is get on Twitter, read the news, and understand that this goes beyond Raider Nation. He touched every player that he worked with, touched their hearts, touched their families in ways that coaches are supposed to do, right? Coaches are always seen as these sort of magnanimous figures, on and off the field, very generous, very caring, even when they're hard-nosed and they can be brash on the field between the lines during practice. It's always said they do it because they love you, right? It's gonna hurt them more than it's gonna hurt you, type of thing. They're sort of stand-in father figures for a lot of guys. Definitely role models for most of their players, and some are better than others. Tony, you were definitely one of the great ones in that regard. So, Sperano, man, you will be missed. You will be remembered, and we'll be rooting for you up there, and hopefully you'll be rooting for us. Rest in peace, Tony. Last but not least, John Gruden threw a party, and you were all invited. Whether or not you came, I don't know. They were limiting the event to 500 people. We got there early. We got there way too early. Shout out to Silver and Black 666 for showing up and holding down a spot at 7 o'clock in the morning. He was the first person there. He was the only person there till about 10 o'clock. We showed up at about 10:30. Look, I'm going to sum this up in a nutshell because Kane was there with us, and so that's basically what we're going to get into during his segment. It wasn't as packed as we thought it might be. I'd estimate there's probably about 350 people there, maybe 500 people over the course of the entire afternoon. I think it was about a 4-hour event, but the crowd just wasn't as thick as I thought. In many ways, that was good for us, for the people in attendance. You know, you had space to move around. You can talk to people. It wasn't too crazy. It was a hot day outside. It was probably even hotter inside Ricky's Sports Bar. But we got a lot of love from Ricky's and the staff. The fans all felt the love. John Gruden paid for everything. It was free entry. It was free food. Drinks weren't free, though. You had to buy those. But, man, it was an incredible event. We heard from John. We heard from Reggie. We heard from Lester Hayes. You had all the legends out there. Cliff Branch was there. Mervin Fernandez was there. Bill Romanowski was there. Hey, even Mark Davis showed up. He showed up late, but he showed up. I want to know how you feel about that. Definitely going to talk to you about how I feel about that, how Kane feels about that, and just kind of how we felt about the whole event. It was a tremendous day. One thing that's going to be remembered. It might be one of the last great fan things that happens here in Oakland before the team moves. So if you didn't get there, if you missed it, I'm sad to tell you, you really missed something special. It was an incredible day. Even the whole day leading up to the event, we tailgated, parking lot and all that. It was a good time. Definitely a good time. But this is weird. I'm flying solo. So what I'm going to do is hit the break really quick. I got Scott Odell waiting in the wings, and we're going to get him on air because I need someone to talk to, folks. And so we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back in just a minute. All right, we're just waiting on Scott Odell right now. Everything's ready to go. As soon as he's ready, we're ready.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing, Scott?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Thanks for coming on the show. I'm on break right now, so I'm going to give you a lead in, and
Great.
We'll get started. All right?
Okay. How do you want me to address you?
You can call me Kenny.
Kenny?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because I was looking at Kane, but okay.
Yeah, Kane.
And you're by yourself today?
Yeah, I'm by myself today. Chay's my normal co-host here in studio. He couldn't make it in today, but Kane will join us in a segment later in the show.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds great. How was your trip?
Trip was good, man. Thank you. Trip was real good. Appreciate it. Had a good weekend out there in Albuquerque, and then came back, and then Friday was out there at the fan event. And that was good, man. It was a good event. It was definitely very classy, a little bit rowdy, and everybody in good spirits. I think it was good for the fan base, to say the least.
So you went to the Big Ricky's event, huh?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Did you make it out there?
Wow.
You're not in California.
No,
right?
no. I'm in Florida. I wanted to go out last year, but the hurricane caused me a lot of headaches. I'm still in litigation over all the damage and the robbery to my house during that time. So,
oh wow,
it was actually during the production of the book too. So it was really tough to because it was a dream project, and it's right in the center of it.
Wow.
The hurricane comes, and then as we're seeking shelter, they broke into the home and stole everything that I owned, including. But I had my files, that I completed on the book, so I just had to get equipment again and finish, and set it up again. But it was kind of a stressful time, but it's getting closer to ending. So, it was a great experience. So I didn't go out there this year, but I will go to the Miami game, obviously, when they're here, and I will try to pick a game and fly out to California and see them play,
Yeah.
Here if I can.
Definitely. Let us know when you come out. If you're interested in tailgating, man, we'll take care of you for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I will definitely do that, 100%.
All right. Well, let's get this whole thing rolling here. And
okay.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
All right, and we're back on the show here. Thanks for the short break. And joining us this week is Scott Odell. Good to have you on the air, Scott. Tell the folks a little something about yourself, where you're from, what you do, and how long you've been doing it.
Hi, everybody. My name is Scott Odell. I'm an audiobook narrator. I do some other things for a living, too, but I started that business, I guess, a little over a year and a half ago. Spent about 6 months learning how to actually, put together good audio, studying, learning, doing smaller projects until I eventually landed the book Al Davis Behind the Shield, and Steve Corcoran, John Kingdon, and Bruce Kebrick's book. And it was a dream come true. I everything that I had worked for up until that point wound up allowing me to land the project of a lifetime for me, being a Raider fan for over 40 years. You know, when I saw the book was available and didn't have a narrator, I contacted Steve, and it was perfect timing. And he got back to me, and we worked out the details and became friends. And he gave me a chance. You know, it was a great moment in my life. It was a dream come true,
man,
especially for a Raider fan. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the most interesting angles about this is that, you know, you being a lifelong Raider fan and seeing this opportunity on the horizon and going out there and seizing it and then landing it. Kind of walk me through your reaction when you got the thumbs up for that. How happy were you?
Oh, I was running around in circles in my house. You know, it's like you look up to the sky and thank God for everything that you worked for, and it was it was nice to realize that dreams really do come true. You know, I mean, I couldn't have asked for, you know, a better opportunity, you know, and it's been a success. You know, the feedback has been really, really good, you know, 99% of it. But in this business, no matter what you do, you know, you're going to get people that troll you or whatever and say, it's terrible, you're the worst ever. And that's acceptable. I don't really worry about reviews and stuff like that. I'm happy I had the confidence of the people that spent the time writing the book and putting the truth out there. Some of it's good, some of it's great. Like I told Steve, some of it's bad and some of it's ugly, but it's the truth, you know. And as much as I loved Al Davis and I loved everything that he represented for the league, you know, there's certain things in the book that, yes, could make people cringe, and maybe some people feel like it shouldn't be out in front of the world, you know. But I thought it was great to see the truth, you know. It didn't change my perspective of the man.
Not at all. Not at all. I still have the utmost respect for Al, and I think that was one of the caveats of getting this book done, right? Is Steve wanted to tell the story with warts and all, as he said, and they're certainly in there. You know, Steve, John, Bruce did the heavy lifting with the writing, and you came in and capped it off with what I thought was a great narration. The cherry on top is your Al Davis voice. Talk a little bit about that. Did you have that in the chamber already? Is that something you worked on as you worked with the book, or have you always done an Al Davis voice?
You know, to be honest with you, I've been an actor for a really long time, you know, but I've never, I never really had a chance, the opportunity to really make it, you know. So and then I was in Florida, and you got to be in New York or LA to really, you know, put 100% into that. But you can still, you know, part of SAG and part of are in audiobooks, and I wanted to always do that. So when I got into it, I got this project, and of course you do a certain amount of research, you know. The more excited you are about a project, the more you want to get it right. And, you know, I just went online basically and tried to find every recording that I could for everybody that's in the book, you know, try to get as close as possible. I'm not, you know, John Caliendo, you know, and Rich Little, but I did a serviceable job. You know, I think I practiced a lot. You know, I tried to do him justice. You know, the problem with Al's voice is that he had like 3 or 4 of them. I mean, some of it was from his military days. Some of it was Southern a bit, you know, there was like a twang, you know. Then he lived out in California, and he had some Brooklyn, you know, and sometimes he would talk to people with a bit of a Brooklyn accent, you know. So I tried to study as much as I could. I tried, you know, to make people at least get lost for a little while to think that it may be him speaking. And there's quite a few speeches out there, especially the famous projector. I joked with Steve, you know, I said, you know, it's too bad you can't find that old projector somewhere and find out in the building if it's sitting somewhere, and you can put it somewhere in one of these bookstores with all the books around it, you know, because he said he was sitting right next to it during that speech, you know, like the overhead projector. So, and I remember when I was a kid in high school, I used to have an audiovisual class where I used to push one of those things around. Yeah. One of the great times where you could get out of class. It's a lot of fun, but I definitely did quite a bit of research. And when you narrate books, sometimes you do things over and over and over and over again until you get it right. At least I do, you know, to try my best, you know. I haven't re-listened to it after it because when you work on a book, you know, it's a marathon. I mean, it took several months to pull that book off, you know, recording and making sure there was limited errors. If I hope, you know, there's not too many from the people that listen to the book. But, you know, I got to say, you know, from being a 7-year-old kid and walking into Cantello Street, New Jersey, my uncle was sitting there, and I think I saw football for the first time, and it was the Super Bowl was on. It was the Raiders and Minnesota Vikings, and, you know, I had said to my uncle, you know, I told Steve this story when I was trying to tell him that I was the best guy for the book, you know, And I said, I walked in and I said to my uncle, what is this? He told me it was football. And I said, well, what do you want to win? And he said, I want the Minnesota Vikings. And I said, well, I'll take the Raiders, And I sat there and I watched the game with him. And I remember it like it was yesterday, Jack Tatum's hit, with a helmet flies off, and Dave Casper's touchdown, and Kenny Stabler tearing it up, and then Willie Brown running down the field. And it was electrifying to me, mesmerizing. It was like, wow, football. And ever since then, I remember the Eagles Super Bowl and just waking up in the middle of the night to from school when Monday Night Football was on. I was really young. I wasn't supposed to be up watching and listening to that dun 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 dun, and all the great music. And I was a Raider fan ever since then, And it's sad. It still feels the same. I mean, when they lose, it's terrible. I mean, it's gut wrenching, and when they win, it's one of the greatest feelings in the world, And I've never really loved another football team. Watched football, of course, but I've never loved another team, since I'm a kid, I've always been a Raider fan. So this, going back to the dream, when I contacted Steve and, he finally got back to me weeks later and said, asked me how to walk him through the process of how this would happen. And then I started recording some things for him, and he said, yes, he believed in me. And I got to thank him, because it was one of the great times of my life, all those guys, and giving me that opportunity. And I hope I didn't let them down. I hope the people that, have listened to the book enjoyed it. I hope there's more people that will, because I think they're missing out on something if they don't listen to it. Because like I said, there are some people that hate the fact that they see a lot of those mistakes and things that Al did. And, also there were some really great things that Al Davis did that are in there too, and he was getting older and his health was failing, and I don't blame him for taking some of the risks that he did. He figured Mark was going to take over the team and be his own man and, do whatever job he was going to do with the team. But at the end of his life, he swung for the fences, and sometimes it worked, putting his money out there on the table, and sometimes it didn't, But he tried. He wanted to win a championship in the end, and, a lot of those ugly mistakes are in the book, and people who read it are going to say, wow, oh my God, I can't believe you took that player instead of this one. And, that's the great thing about John and Bruce. They were talented scouts. From everything that I read in that book, I'm amazed at the players that they wanted to bring in, and they would have chosen, but Al overrode a lot of those things, Some players they were wrong about, but some of the best stories in the book, are players that the Raiders could have had, but Al had a different vision at that time, and later in his life, obviously his vision changed from when he was younger. But all in all, if you want to know everything about the man, and we're all flawed people, if you want to know the good, the bad, it's all there, I don't think it's a scathing portrayal about him at all, No. I enjoyed reading the book. I probably read it 100 times because I worked on it for so long, but I enjoyed everything about that project. And again, I'll say it again to everybody, I'm very thankful that he gave me that dream. I only wish I could repay him, It's not even about money. It's just, it was a childhood dream come true. Yeah. Everybody should pursue the things, those kind of dreams,
Absolutely.
And to be a Raider fan all my life and get that project, I'm complete, Obviously, I'm still working and I'm still getting books and all that stuff, but I think that's definitely the golden egg,
So when's Mark's book coming out?
Golden goose for me. I'm sorry?
When's Mark's book coming out?
Mark? You mean Mark Davis?
Yeah.
Well, from what I understand, there was some information in the book, but they decided not to write about that right now because the chapter on Mark is not finished yet,
Absolutely.
It's probably better that was left out right now. And
no,
he seems to be doing a good job at this point, at least where we're going now. I think there are great things ahead. Of course, I loved when John Gruden was there. A lot of people like to try to compare what happened in Tampa to what's going to happen here, and I don't understand that. But I think he's a great coach. I think he's better than what we've had, in the last 10 years or so, with Dennis and even Tony, rest in peace. The Jack Del Rio situation, started to work out well, and now, of course, it's in Gruden's hands. So I think they're going to do well. There might be some bumps in the road, but I think it's going to be big. Chucky's back. Everybody's going to be excited seeing all that TV play and those faces. Great calls, the excitement, the language. I'm looking forward to it. I'm thrilled.
Chucky's back.
Absolutely
He's
thrilled.
fired up. It is a new era for Raider Nation. There's a lot of changes going on. One of the biggest changes this week was the voice of the Oakland Raiders. You being a voice guy yourself, what are your thoughts and feelings about Greg Papa now having to move on from the Oakland Raiders? And it's a new era. Now you got Musburger in the booth, you got Kennedy in the booth. As a man that's living out up there on the East Coast, on the Southeast Coast, I don't know, how many radio broadcasts you listen to. I'm sure you're at least familiar with the touchdown call, but how do you feel about
that's
this?
That's a great question. Well, I loved what Greg Papa did. I loved his calls, but being from the East Coast, you don't get to hear a lot of his radio broadcasts because the games that you watch on DirecTV or if you go to a bar, it's always the national announcer or somebody else that they place. If you want, you can go to certain places and they'll take Greg's voice and superimpose it over the game. Like if you want just a Raiders broadcast, or if you go to Sirius Radio, you can hear his voice. So of course, I wasn't exposed to him as much as people who lived the local games, and got to hear his voice. Now, I mean, from his perspective, I think he loved doing the Raiders games, obviously, but maybe it was just a matter of, from what I see, that he just didn't want to deal with the hassle of going to Vegas to do the games, and how long that would take. I don't think the animosity's that bad with him and the new ownership. I think they had a decent working relationship from everything I heard or what I saw, But Brent Musburger is no chicken, he's definitely a legend in the business, and I think for a short period of time, they'll pass the torch until they find somebody that they're really happy with, a voice that may last for 20, 30 years, somebody that they're excited about. I think Brent is 79 years old, so, it's probably a 3-year contract or something like that, to get them started. One he intends on working.
Yeah, maybe we got to get you in the booth sometime, Scott. Maybe that's your job in the next couple of years. You should maybe reconsider a move.
Well, out to Las Vegas. I would assume that I would like to do it. It's something that you'd probably have to take a significant amount of, training and courses, to pull something like that off. I'm happy with listening to Brent Musburger do it. I wish Papa well. Some people just don't like to leave their roots.
Yeah.
The Warriors there, and I don't understand the San Francisco angle, getting into that, with Shanahan and all that, but it's sad to see anything go that you love,
Well, one thing fans have to consider in terms of Greg Papa is I know he's branded as a Raiders guy. He's branded as the Raiders voice, but he's had roots in the Bay Area for quite a while now. And he used to do the A's television broadcast with Ray Fosse. He still does Warriors pre and post game. He's done some Giants pre-post game. The guy has his fingers all over Bay Area sports. And now I know he can take a plane out to Vegas.
Yeah.
It's about an hour plane flight and go out there and do games, but we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. We don't know what the Raiders organization's asking of him.
Yeah, they may not have wanted him. I really don't know. I remember mentioning that to Steve, way back, half a year ago when the Vegas thing came up, and he thought the same thing from what I remember. He said, you could take a flight out there. It's not a big deal, but maybe he, didn't want to do that because he does a lot of research apparently, and he really knows his stuff before he goes on the air, so maybe he'd have to go out there a little earlier, and it's just his life is easier staying in the Bay Area with the Bay Area people and, just is letting them move on to something else,
Yeah.
I haven't really heard has he made any comments publicly yet himself?
He's been on vacation, so he returns to the air tomorrow. That should be a highly listened to show. I imagine a lot of people are going to tune in and see if he has any thoughts on it. I'm sure he's going to speak his mind to some degree. I don't think that Papa's going to bash the organization, but I don't think he's going to pull all of his punches. I think a lot of what's happened here has to do with the fact that he has been critical of Mark lately. He has been critical of the organization, and he did put it out there. I think it was late last season or sometime during this offseason that there was interest in possibly pursuing a job with the 49ers. So when you make those kind of comments public, especially, when you work for an organization like the Oakland Raiders, they're very possessive, right? This.
Oh yeah. They take it very personal, and I think they took the book personally too, with John and Bruce, and Steve too, that they just figured a lot of those things should never be told, that's just a perspective. But I know that Greg was close with Al Davis, and maybe he just didn't have the same type of relationship with Mark, and figures, let me move on from this.
Yeah,
they gave him a lot. He gave them a lot.
I think if
people just.
I think if I had to guess, that's probably a big part of it. I think the relationship there soured a bit, and the Raiders decided it's time to move on. And Greg had already alluded to the fact that he wasn't going to. So this is a situation you end up with. I know there's a lot of fans that have taken this really hard. You know, some people even like saying, "Oh, I don't know if I'm going to be a fan anymore." And it's just that's a bit too much. I mean,
feel for them too, because I can't feel the same, because they had him there every single week. You know, here we were exposed to him, but not as much, because all local games they used his voice out there. Here, you know, they don't do that. So, you know, you miss out a lot on what he was doing. You know, and he definitely understands the game. That's for sure. You know, he understands Raiders better than anybody. You know, I like the fact that Lincoln's going to join him in the booth. You know, I always liked hearing him on the radio. So
yeah,
it's really good for them. Yeah. I didn't even know Brent was still working. So I mean, I was shocked when I heard his name, but I you know, he is a legend.
So technically, Brent retired last year. He retired with CBS last year. He was doing college football, and I know he's got a podcast out of Las Vegas. He lives in Las Vegas. He's always been big in sports betting, so he's got a podcast that deals with that, with sports betting. And so his retirement's short-lived. I mean, he's basically retired several months, and now he's coming back into the fold as the official voice of the Oakland Raiders. So the one thing I said earlier in the show when I started this is, you know, despite the fact that he's got some black marks on his record with comments he's made, Brent's been a part of a lot of big games in sports, and so when you hear his voice on a broadcast, it does feel important. It does feel like a big deal. But Papa, what you're missing with Papa is he had relations with the players, very much involved behind the scenes, attending training camps, attending practices, all the little stories and, you know, anecdotes that he had in between plays, in between calls, during games. You got a lot of information listening to Papa on the broadcast. And then on the other side, there's people that really didn't like Papa, but I myself was a big fan of Greg Papa during the whole blackout period. He's the only voice that we had. I mean, watching the game in your mind, listening to Greg Papa, he painted a great picture for us fans that couldn't get the Raiders on our TV screen. And so that's where,
he voiced his broken heart when they did bonehead things, or when they made mistakes, or when they lost at, you know, times that they could have won games. You know, he definitely, you could feel the hurt in his voice. You know, he was definitely rooting for him. I could tell you that.
Give us your win-loss. Give us your win-loss prediction for 2018, Scott. Sorry to interrupt you there, but as we're talking about the Raiders here and what may or may not happen, all of the changes that are going on, there's one thing that remains the same. In September, these guys are going to play football. They're going to play a full 16 games, and hopefully more if we break the playoffs. But as a Raiders fan, how do you see this team doing overall in 2018? Give us your floor. Give us your ceiling.
I think they'll struggle a little bit out of the gate because of just nerves and a different system. You know, I'm a little worried about that first game, but I could see them going 11-5 or 12-4 once Chucky gets rolling. You know, Gruden, I should say. I shouldn't really call him Chucky, but I really do see that they'll improve over next year. And the main thing over last year is that Downing, you know, a fine person. I think that system that, you know, he wasn't really ready to, like a Musgrave, and maybe the players didn't really get it. And it just seemed to snowball into not really understanding every week, you know, players trying how to attack a defense and things like that. So I think that Gruden is going to much better offense on the field, much more intricate, a little bit harder for other defenses to figure out. So it might. I mean, I don't think it'll be as bad as his first couple of years there when he was 8-8.
Right.
You know, those 2 years, which wasn't bad, but you know they were so bad before that. But I think, you know, after the first game or two, you know, they should get the cobwebs out and then get back to playing, you know, great football. I remember that first game, one of the first preseason games when Gruden was there. I think it was against Green Bay. And you saw the players playing to the whistle, you know, and that started, you know, you realized the passion that he had, and he got the players to really buy into what he was doing. So, you know, I didn't see a whole lot of that last year, you know, with some of the players. They seemed lost so much, and it was so disheartening to see how well they played the year before, and the injury derailed them, and then the complete collapse almost next year. You know, it was one of the worst years of watching in the last 20-something years, because you know, you had such high hopes going into the season, and then it just all fell with that new hire, you know?
Yeah.
And I hate to blame him because I'm not there. I'm not an offensive coordinator, and most people out there probably listen to this and say, what does he know? You know, he's not getting paid to do this, you know, which is fine. You know, that's, you know, people can give their opinion. It's just, to me, it seemed like it was quite obvious to almost everybody watching that the offense was completely not prepared every week, you know, in the same way that it will be with somebody like John Gruden. And the good thing is he's stayed on top of the game the entire time. He's visited every facility. He knows the players, and he continued to study, offensive scheme for years and years and years. So I can't see him taking a step backward. I really can't. I really think you're going to see some exciting things from the team this year.
And we've said it on the show before. We know the ceiling or somewhat of the ceiling for this offense is 2016. We know what they're capable of, despite the missteps last year in 2017. We know a lot of that was behind the scenes, locker room stuff. Obviously, it was preparation, and we're getting back to that. We got a detail-oriented coach, and then don't discount the addition of Paul Guenther, who's now bringing a true multiple defense to this team. Is probably one of the most bona fide defensive coordinators we've had in a very long time. I mean, a very, very long time.
Yeah, it's the first time in probably 20 years that they had a top-flight, top-3 defensive coordinator there that wasn't somebody, and in all defense to somebody like Downing, it was his first year. Maybe several years into it, he would get it on the same level as somebody very experienced would, and the same thing with Tarver and these guys, they hired these talented people that didn't have a lot of experience, and then they got exposed,
yeah.
I don't see that happening with Guenther because he's been there and he's, led some pretty great defense, in his career. So I think he'll maximize the talent that they do have. I'm still worried about corner and a couple of different defensive positions. They seem to not be worried about it. So we'll see. I mean, if they can develop a really big pass rush, you don't really need corners as much, That's another thing, your corners, bad pass rush, no corners hold up, no matter who you are. So if they can get a little bit better of a pass rush, and he's really good at that, Guenther, then maybe some of these guys will develop and look like stars,
Absolutely.
I'm excited.
Yeah, be excited.
Let me ask you something. How do you feel about the move to Las Vegas?
As a Bay Area fan, it's very difficult to watch because I've had this team right here in my backyard for about half my life. As a child growing up, I was a fan of the Raiders while they were in Los Angeles. I didn't quite get it at that time, but when they returned to the Bay Area, my dad took me to the first home game. And at that point, I was already a Raiders fan, but at that point, it all kind of clicked into place. I started going to games in the late 90s, and I rode through the games with John Gruden, that whole era. I kept going to games. And so I've been riding with this team in Oakland for quite a while. So I think it's really going to hit me when they move, but my initial reaction was just absolute disappointment because even if the team wanted to get it done here in Oakland, it didn't seem like the city of Oakland was willing to play ball. So there's a lot of there's a lot of madness. There's a lot of disgruntled fans out here that I want to blame the team. I think there's a lot of blame to go around. But one thing I do know about Al Davis is that he loved Las Vegas himself. So I don't know that he would have done much different if he was still alive today. I mean, considering the fact that Oakland did not want to play ball, the options were limited. I know a lot of fans wanted to see him stay in California. They tried to go to Los Angeles. They voted us out. Again, that wasn't our fault. I would have liked to see him try to make a move to somewhere like Sacramento, but then you got a history with Sacramento and the Kings. They almost lost their team. How are they going to land an NFL franchise? But you got a lot of Raider fans up there. You got a lot of real estate up there. But I mean, at least they're not moving across the country. There was talk of them moving to San Antonio. That made absolutely zero sense to me. Is Vegas a Raiders town? I mean, we're going to find out.
It will be.
Yeah, it will be. They certainly embrace the Knights.
It definitely will be.
You got a lot of California transplants out there. I spent some time out in Vegas. You got a lot of California people out there. I'm hearing there's a lot of excitement, and some people that go out there tell me I'm not hearing any whispers, but it looks like the apparel's showing up in the stores. The excitement's starting to grow. I think the question that most fans have is what's the game day experience going to be like? And I can tell you without a doubt, it's not going to be anything like it is here in Oakland. It just can't be. It's a whole different venue. You're not going to take all the same people and move them over there. You don't have, a tremendous amount of parking. The Oakland Coliseum has just parking and tailgating for as far as the eye can see. You got the BART station. Yeah. You got the airport that's like 2 miles away. You got a major freeway right there. There's just so many ways to get to the game, and that's going to be the different part. The fan experience of the Raiders in Vegas is going to be completely different, and I think that's what I'm most heartbroken about. What I'm excited about is to see this team finally get a state-of-the-art, shiny silver and black stadium that they deserve. They're going to be treated like royalty out there, which I think they deserve. The organization's commitment to excellence is going to show up in the form of this structure, but where that structure is sitting geographically on the map, I mean, myself, I'm very disappointed disappointed about it. But I'm not going to go as far to say I'm not going to be a Raider fan. I'm still going to be a Raider fan. I'm still going to be the show. I'm still going to be the voice of the Bay Area out here for the fans, at least. I mean, one of the voices. I'm not saying I'm the man, but we're going to continue to represent out here for the Bay Area. And for those fans that have given up on the team, I'm sorry, man. You know, I'm really sorry. I get it. I don't agree with it. I think if you're a fan, you're a fan to the very end, but you have every right to jump ship. You have every right. I understand why you're so upset. I know guys that have lived in Oakland their entire life. They haven't missed a home game, and so they got every right to be this upset. Their team.
Oh, they'd be devastated. You know, the thing is, the truth of it is, for me, you know, they had many opportunities that community to build a stadium out there, and it didn't work out. You know, so as a business, he had to move on, you know, and they went to Vegas, and now I'm just trying to support them where they're at, and I'm just trying to be happy, you know, that they have a state-of-the-art stadium, because that's all we kept hearing for year after year, how much of a dump that place was and how bad it was. Yeah, the fans were great, tailgating was great, the experience was great, but, you know, everybody talked about the facility being run down, and, I mean, they tried. I mean, Al Davis, Mark Davis, Amy, they all wanted to stay in Oakland, but it just didn't work out with the community and the people in politics there. And so, you know, they just went where they felt wanted, you know, and where they could get the deal done. So I'm happy, the same like you know. I just, you know, 99% of the fans that love the Raiders, they're going to be angry that they don't have the fan experience in Oakland anymore, but they're going to watch and they're going to root for them, you know. I can't see giving up on the team just because they moved, you know. I wanted him to stay there, and I think Al and his son and everybody wanted to stay in Oakland and get a deal done there, get the same stadium that they had going up in Vegas, and get it done in Oakland. It just didn't happen, you know. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I
do think it'll be a rough start to the year. Maybe not so rough, but I'm hoping they go out and blow out the Rams, you know. But you know, it's just a new system like that's very complicated. It takes a little bit of time, I would think, but who knows? They could, you know, like the greatest show on turf. With the Rams, you know, the past, they could go tear it up and get right to the Super Bowl. You know, it may happen. I mean, Gruden was able to pull it off, moving from Oakland the first year in Tampa, you know.
Yeah.
Space his whole team. So, I mean, that definitely could happen. And you know that he's going to work very, very hard because he's got a big ego himself and he believes in his trade. And he's going to want to make sure that those players are on the same page as him and work as hard as him. And, you know, he wants... He wants to win.
Absolutely. Just to reset the point that you made a few minutes ago.
Sure.
You know, you said it's not going to look the same as it did in Tampa, and when he was in Tampa, it didn't look the same as when he was in Oakland, and it's been some time now, right? It's been over a decade. Look for John Gruden to come in here with the expectation that he's going to blow the doors off of this thing. He's got more than just Raider fans to prove it to. He's got the entire world watching. I mean, he's the face of the Monday Night Football broadcast for years. He knows what he's up against, and after seeing him on Friday, he's absolutely fired up. Ricky's management came out to us in the parking lot early in the morning. They said, this is all John. This is not the Oakland Raiders. John insisted on this. John paid for all of this. The reason being is he's getting ready to go out to training camp this week, and he needs the passion. He needs to feel the vibration and the energy of Raider Nation before he takes off, and I hope he got what he needed, and you know, we wish him the best as he heads off to Napa.
Oh, he did the right thing for the people of Oakland, you know, and I think he learned from his experience in Tampa, as we all learned from our past, and I'm sure he looks back and knows the mistakes he made there, and he knows his successes there too. So I think he'll improve on that. I mean, I gotta hope that. I hope every year for the Raiders. I really do. I mean, I don't think there is a greater feeling for a Raider fan than a Raiders Super Bowl win, you know, and when we lose, it's devastating, even when we lose during the season, for me at least.
Yeah.
It's devastating, you know, you got to deal with everybody knowing how passionate you are, and kind of looking at you like, yeah, I know you lost this weekend, you know. And when I was 15 years old, I was 16 in one of my high school yearbooks. I put happiness as an L.A. Raider victory at that time because they were in L.A. at the time. And it's true. It's very true. And I hope we have a lot of that together this year, you know, I really do. And I hope when I get out there that, you know, I'll get to meet up with you, you know, and meet up with some of the fans and really tailgate the Raider Nation. We do it here in Miami, but it's not the same. There's a lot of Raider fans travel really well, and you get to see a lot of them here, but it's not the same as when 99% of them are, you know, rowdy. I'd love to get out there this year. Can't wait.
Absolutely.
You go to every home game?
Well, we get about 7 a year now. I usually get out to about 5 or 6. I'm aiming for 6 this year, or 5 and 1 away game. I'm eyeballing that week 2 Denver game. Might roll out there with Kane, and there's an outside shot I might make it to Kansas City this year for that. It's not New Year's Eve, but I believe it's December 30th game. Supposed to be a cold one. I was out in KC last year. I'd like to get back to Arrowhead and walk away with a W, but yeah, man, make sure you let us know if you come out here. We'll definitely take care of you. We got a long-running tailgate. We got a lot of folks, a lot of good food, and we'll make sure you get the right fan experience when you come out here. And we appreciate you coming on the show this week, Scott. We had a great experience.
I hope so. I hope people get a chance to read the book if they can, or if they get a chance to listen to it through Audible. It really is great. I was happy to do it, and let us know.
Yeah.
Let us know. Hopefully, there's more Raider stories to be told.
And before you get out of here, why don't you let people know how they can find you on social media so they can get in touch with you or get a link to the book and get on top of that. What's your Twitter handle?
That's a little strange. It's not outright because my name, it's like Scott Odell 1 or whatever. I got to find it here. You caught me off guard here. I know you can link through you.
Yeah,
but the book itself, obviously is Al Davis Behind the Raider Shield. They can go through Amazon and get hardcover book. You can get a paperback. I believe you can get a digital download through Kindle. And if you go through audible.com, you can pick up our book, the Audible version. And if it's your first book, it's free, if you join audible.com. So I think you'll like it, let me know. Let me see if I can find here the actual Twitter handle. You could always find me on Facebook, but
yeah, I got you right here. It's Scott Odell 3. That's SCOTTODLL and the number 3. Make sure you guys find him and follow him on Twitter. Tremendous Raider fan, the voice of Behind the Raider Shield, and all the way from Florida. Thanks again for calling in, Scott. We appreciate it and look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you and all the Raider fans, and again Steve and Bruce and Brian and everybody involved in the production and giving me a chance at that dream. Thanks for giving out my Twitter handle here. I was always looking at Scott Odell, but there's a 3 on the end of it. So, all right, buddy, I appreciate it very, very much. Thanks a lot for your time.
Yes, sir. Take care, Scott.
Go Raiders.
Go Raiders. All right, folks, that was Scott Odell. We're up against the break right now. Long segment, but a good segment. Make sure you pick up that book, Behind the Raider Shield. And if you don't have time to read, you have time to listen. You can listen to it in the car, on your phone, at the desk, at work, while you're working out. Whatever it is, make sure you check it out. Big thank you to Scott Odell for coming on the show. So we're going to take a short break. We're going to hear from your calls. And when we come back on the other side, we will respond to those calls. And, of course, your favorite segment, Kane's Corner, coming up next. We out here. Go Raiders.
Touchdown! Raiders!
gonna have to wait and see what happens. Hoping a few players don't make it. Hoping that Matt gets signed and everything is gravy and the team gels well and we turn that shit of a year last year into a better year this year. Currently waiting to go into court, not because I have sticky fingers, but because I have to participate in this stupid ass thing they call jury duty. Thinking about throwing all kinds of Trump shit on just so I can get the hell on out of there and just kick me out. Other than that, man, you guys got this cheese shit all wrong, man. Try Havarti cheese. I'm just saying, it's a weird cheese, but go ahead, try it on a burger, let me know what you think. I think it's an amazing cheese. I myself am Italian, very particular about my cheese. You don't just throw random cheese on anything and expect it to be good. You gotta know the cheese, there's chemistry with the cheese and the meat. You can't just throw random shit on it. But I'm telling you, Havarti cheese, my significant other, who happens to be a Raider fan as well, made a grilled cheese sandwich with a Havarti cheese, and that was the most amazing thing I've ever had in my life. Other than that, maybe I'll call later when something pops up, but the fullback issue is really annoying to me, and just stick with one fucking fullback, please. Can we stop bringing in these guys that have no fucking talent? Alright, well, Wops out, time for me to go. We'll see you later. Later.
Good early morning, Kenny and Che. It's 7 a.m. in Colorado Thursday morning. It's a great day. This is G-Paw Reader from Colorado. I called them before, but I was too fast on my call. So I'll let you know that everything sounds great. I can't wait till training camp coming up. You guys have hit all the points on head. I love it. Everything I was saying is I need to get response from my emails I'm sending you, because I need to get this ticket thing going on for me and my family. If we could hook that up, I'll keep sending texts. I'll keep sending emails to you, but I have to have my wife do it, like I said before. So thanks again for all your help, Raider Nation. This is great. G-Paw from Colorado, and I'm out again.
Yeah. Can I get a Raiders podcast this weekend? That's great. Thank you. What's up, Kenny? Tay? Kane? My God, man, I'm fiending over here. We need the podcast. I know you guys are busy, shit. Life sucks, but I got the scratches, man. I need to get something going on. I recently read this article about Jimmy Garoppolo and Derek Carr. Like, is there really a conversation here on who's the better quarterback? Some fucking dude that just showed up out of nowhere for fucking 4 or 5 games, lit it up on some sorry-ass teams. Give me a break. I just don't believe it. The whole 49ers thing with everyone that they got going on, I'm just not buying the hype train. I don't see them being that successful. And God, I mean, we can't catch a break nowhere. Everyone's like, oh, fuck it, the Raiders suck. Madden 19 gave us the worst ratings ever. Everyone over there is just completely subpar. I mean, they did it to almost to us on every single game. The Raiders are just straight fucking garbage. I hate that. That just shows you the true animosity towards our team. But other than that, ain't shit going on. Waiting for, camp to go. I want to see what the roster looks like. I saw this, the first team rosters. It looks alright. Other than that, guys, hope to see you soon. I gotta hear something, man. Hopefully. I'm dying here. The Wop is dying. Alright. You guys have a good one. See ya.
What is up, Pillagers? It's your boy, Only One Checker, out here, Twitter handle from Napa. Fresh off my John Gruden party out there at Ricky's yesterday. Met you guys. Fucking awesome. That was cool. You guys are a couple cool dudes. Love the show, as always. But, man, what a sight yesterday for Raider fans. If you guys weren't there, you guys really missed out, man, because it was all free. And that's one of my favorite things. You know, if it's free, it's me, and I want free. But it was nothing like seeing a bunch of adults running around like little kids with pens trying to get autographs from their favorite superstars. It was great. John Gruden handled it like a true professional, like we knew he would, out there sweating, long-sleeve shirt, grinding. He must have signed everybody's autograph and took a picture with everybody that asked him. Stayed late. It was great, man. It was great for Raider fans. It was definitely better than any season ticket package gift I have ever received. So on that, thank you to Ricky's and John Gruden for putting that out there. Little Gruden, Mike Gruden on the ones and twos. He got some moves. It was a little soft there. Started throwing some Mac Dre on the end, and that started getting everybody a little high feet up. So that was cool, man. But yeah, I talked to him for a minute. He's definitely digging the Bay Area. I told him just wait till game day, dude. You can walk around, just wait till game day. But yeah, man, just wanted to reach out. Love the podcast. Ricky's was awesome. Everybody got awesome gifts and autographs, and couldn't be more thankful. And on that, I'm out. Little hoarse, but here we go. Raiders! All right now. Peace.
And we're back. Yes, heard from some of your calls. Let's go over those real quick before we get to Kane here. Great call, Wop. That was a bit of an older call. We've been off the air here for a while. It is hot. I'm glad you're not getting arrested. I'm glad you're going to jury duty. Maybe chill out on the Trump gear. I don't know. That's all you. I'm not going to get political here on the show. But whatever you got to do to get out of that miserable life of sitting in the juror's box. I feel your pain, dog. I feel your pain. To your comment about Havarti cheese flies under most people's cheese radar. I do appreciate Havarti cheese. Does stand up to most burgers. I agree. Does make an incredible grilled cheese sandwich. It's a good melter. Keep it off of my regular sandwich. It's way too overpowerful for a turkey sandwich or a ham sandwich. Just give me a nice Swiss or a nice cheddar. I still like American on the burger. By the way, the burgers at Ricky's, phenomenal. They had American cheese on the burger. A high-quality American cheese, not a Kraft single, butcher's block American cheese. The big one you get in the deli, that's the one you need to get. It's made for melting. Yes, there are other great melting cheeses. Yes, there are burgers that have other delicious cheeses. I'm not disputing that. Stay in your lane, Giant. I got you. I'm just saying. Havarti, good on a burger, great on a grilled cheese. Keep it off my sandwich. G-Paw Raider, thanks for calling in again, man. We're looking forward to camp as well. We're going to keep you updated. I know Kane's headed out to camp. I got Dirt Lots headed out to camp. A lot of our guys in the Pillager crew going out to camp. Sadly, I'm not going to be able to make it out there. Several of you have been generous enough to offer me tickets, but I'm not going to be able to get away for that, unfortunately. But keep us informed. We'll have some of you guys on, maybe give us some of the stuff that you've gleaned by watching camp, which you can tell us, and maybe a little bit of what you can't tell us. But yeah, we're looking forward to camp too. We know you're trying to get a ticket to the game, G-Paw. I'm going to try to help you out. Dirt Lot, if you're listening to this, hit me up, give me a call. I know we got to get together soon to make that exchange happen. If I don't hear from you in a couple of days, I'm going to hit you up as soon as my schedule breaks, and we're going to try to figure out how to get G-Paw and his family out here. I know he's looking for a special ticket, so you're the guy to talk to. Thanks a lot, Dirt Loud. I'll talk to you about that soon. G-Paw, stay in touch. I know I'm not fast on the emails. It's because I don't like to respond unless I have something to actually tell you. So just hang in there. When I got some news for you, I'll let you know. The season is a ways away, but if you can, let me know if there's any particular game you want to come out to, if there's anything that works better for your schedule, and we'll go from there. So I just want to let you know that on the air, and I will be touching base with you via email soon. WAP chiming in again. Yeah, man, it's been a while since we've been on air. I know. First week we missed, just some personal things going on, a lot of things that stem from that previous episode. All good news, but a lot of change happening in my life for the better. But it's time of transition, and transition can be difficult at times. And then part of that was I actually got to fly out to Albuquerque last week to visit my daughter. Those of you that listen to the show know my daughter lives out of state, but I do spend a lot of time with my daughter. She comes out here, I go out there, and, I don't want to get too personal here, but there was some drama that made it look like I was going to see my daughter for a while. All that changed, and the floodgates opened. I got absolute 100% access to my daughter now. This is a time in my life I never thought would happen. Very emotional about it, a lot of feelings about it, but I'm really happy. That's the most important person in my life, and so to actually get out there and be able to visit her at a time where I didn't think I was going to see her probably until December was great. I'm going to get to go out there as much as I can now. I can talk to her anytime I want. I've been texting her every day. It's a good time for me. It's definitely a new beginning for me and my daughter, whose relationship we've always been solid. She's my best friend. I'm one of her best friends. She's 9. She's got a ton of best friends at this point, but we've always had a great relationship. But the access has been something else. So luckily that barrier, that obstacle has been lifted, and to have that kind of freedom in my life is great. So that's where I was last week. And then those of you that are listening, Che's not here this week. He's dealing with some family stuff right now. He's got some illness. It's really hot where he lives. It's really hot where I live. So it's best that he stay put, take care of family this week. Again, family is priority, guys. We appreciate you being patient and hanging in there. And on top of all that, man, it was dead. It was a dead news week. There just really wasn't anything going on. So what do you want me to tell you, man? I mean, we could have got on here and bullshitted about food for 2 weeks and talked about Bay Area hot spots and locations and things to do when you come out to the game. That would have been great and fun. But everything I said before that takes precedence, takes priority. And, we got to handle business sometimes. We're people too, and we appreciate the patience. So let's get back to it. Last but not least, Only One Checkers, man. What's up? Got to meet this guy at the event. Got to meet him. Got to meet Rick Fernandez out there. Got to meet a guy, Anthony, out there. Met up with a new cat, Alex. Met a few other listeners, Gabriella out there. You guys were tremendous, man. It was the first time I showed up to a spot. Had people come up to us and be like, Kenny, Kane, what's up? Pillaging Podcast, man. We recognized you. Y'all made us feel like superstars. It was weird, but it was cool. It was very humbling to know we got listeners out there and that you guys even recognize us. And it was cool to connect with you, man, because it's Raider Nation. It's family, and that's what it's all about. But that was cool, man. We really appreciate it. If you ever see us out in public, don't be starstruck, right? That's stupid. We're just people, man. We're just here doing a podcast. Come up. We want to talk to you. That's why we have the show. That's why we talk to you. That's why we have you call in. That's why I chat with you guys on YouTube and Twitter and pj4f.com. That's why I travel across the country to meet up with some of y'all for games and away games and whatnot. So, we take care of you when you travel as well. So that's what it's all about, man. It's about community. Shout out to those guys for sure. You'll be in the shout outs at the end of the show. So it'll be a big shout out section. But, yeah, that was good stuff, man. Checkers, good to see you. Good to talk to all the other pillagers out there. Always good to put a face to the name. Raider on, big homie. Raider on. I didn't put you in the tweets this week for the shout-outs because for the life of me, I couldn't find your handle on Twitter. I'm like all discombobulated. I was trying to do this. I was rushing home from Santa Cruz. My lady, she ran a 10K this morning. She ran the wharf to wharf. She did it no problem, no sweat. Big shout-out to my lady, Sophia. Appreciate it. The most beautiful thing in the world. It's good to have a sexy woman that can run a 10K. You know what I mean, fellas? I'm just saying. Not every woman can do it. Mine did it. She's done marathons too, so just calm your britches. She's done it all. She's a very athletic, svelte woman. Yes, I appreciate her. I'm a very lucky man. But let's get on with the show. It's Kane's Corner up next, so we're going to take a short break. I'm going to get him on the horn. We're going to come back with Raider Nation's favorite segment, Kane's Corner, coming up soon. Chill.
Hello.
What's up, boss man?
Hey, what's going on, man?
What's up? What's up?
Nothing watching Diary of a Mad Black Woman. This broad is crazy.
Man.
Hey, you ever seen it before?
I don't think I've seen that one, man. That's a Tyler Perry movie, right?
Yeah. She tripped. She go crazy on that fool at the end.
I got to check it out. Man, I had a great time on Friday, dude. I really did.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, bro. Oh, that shit was off the chain. It was good, man. It was real good and positive.
Real positive, yeah. It was good for the fans. I'd like to see more stuff like that before they leave. But hey, before we spend all our gas on this without recording it, let's jump on here and give the fans what they want, bro. Because I think we're about I think we're about to get into it, man. I think we're gonna have a real good conversation right now. By the way, it's just me. Che's out right now, so I just kind of blasted through the first segment, and we're gonna have a nice long Kane's Corner right now. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, what happened to Che?
I just found out at real close to 5 when he usually gets here. His daughter's sick. They got back. His daughter came down with something, and then just as he was about to leave, his lady got really ill. So he had to stay put down there and take care of business. So, Yeah, I just pushed through real quick. We had Scott Odell on. He's the narrator of Behind the Raider Shield, and had a conversation with him. Went on for a little while there, and just ran through the callers. And looking forward to talking to you, man, because we had a hell of a day on Friday. So let's do the damn thing, bro.
All right, let me get out of this TV room.
All right.
All right, go ahead. I'm ready.
All right. Let's set up the screen here. Get recording. All right, and we're back with Kane's Corner, brought to you every week by NFLShop.com. Make sure you go to PJ4F.com. Find the banner. It's on the side, on your desktop, on the bottom of your screen, on mobile. Scroll all the way down. Click through that banner. Buy yourself a brand new, crisp, clean Raiders jersey for the 2018 season, and a part of your purchase goes straight to PJ4F.com. We take every little bit that we can get. We put it right back into the show. We've had some tremendous donations this week. We're going to shout you guys out later in the show. But without further ado, it's Raider Kane. What's up, Kane? How you doing, man?
What's up, Kenny? I'm all right, man.
Man, I'm still
Just
riding.
chilling on this Sunday.
I'm still riding the high off of Friday. You and I got to Ricky Sports Bar about 10:30 in the morning on Friday, and we camped out for quite some time.
Oh, yeah, man. We got there bright and early, and we was ready to roll, man. We was out there tailgating like it was a game day.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we had people walk up to us and ask us, hey, are the Raiders playing today?
Oh, yeah, they're playing the produce section in Lucky right there. And
I know, right?
shout out to Lucky for not calling the cops on us, because we showed up early. We got to Ricky Sports Bar. I believe it was, I think her name's Tina. She came out. She brought us coffee, and she said, hey, low-key, guys, John's throwing this event today. He's paying for everything. This is all about John. He wants to get fired up before camp, but we got to ask you a special favor. We got the cops coming in for security. They don't want to see folks hanging out in the parking lot. We share the lot with these medical offices. We share the lot with these other businesses. If you guys can, move over to the Lucky parking lot, busy lot. Probably won't bother you over there. And that's what we did. We found a nice shady spot under the tree, popped the tailgate, let the beats go. We had some cold drinks out there. We were hanging out, and we got away with it, man. We got away with it. So, you know.
Raider fans, baby, that's how we do it. We show up and show out. You know what I mean? And we show up in full force, too. Don't let an event go down and think no Raider fans ain't going to show up. That's definitely not going to happen. We come from everywhere. I mean, it was people from Porterville, Fresno, you know, all in the Central Valley came out just for that one event, man. So it was off the hook. It was off the hook.
Yeah, man. In fact, we met a cat from Connecticut, and let's just say he didn't leave the tailgate the same way he showed up. We didn't see much of that cat like for the rest of the afternoon. I hope he's doing all right. I hope he made it back on his flight. But Kerry, I think his name is Kerry. Kerry, man, I hope you had a good time. That dude flew all the way out from Connecticut just for this event. And, I mean, that tells you everything you need to know about Raider Nation right there.
And he got introduced to that California green.
Yeah, he did. You know, it goes around the circle, any tailgate you show up to, and it landed on Kerry in a major way. And we wish him the best. I hope he made it home all right, and I hope he enjoyed his time out there at Ricky's. Apparently, Kerry, he comes out for 1 or 2 games a year, and when he does, he makes sure he stops at Ricky Sports Bar. So even a guy that lives all the way across the nation has a special relationship with Ricky Sports Bar. I want to shout out Ricky Sports Bar. They threw a classy event. Bro, the food was pretty good, man. Yeah, I know you double dipped a little bit there. You had the pulled pork sandwich, and then when you went back, what did you grab the second time?
I grabbed the cheeseburger.
What'd you think about this cheeseburger? Now, we got to talk about this Ricky's cheeseburger.
Well, you know, I can't really give it my full-fledged opinion because I woke up and ate it the next morning. So, but you know what? It was still good, though. It was still good. And I could tell from the taste of it that it was screaming when it was hot. So,
yeah, it was a good burger. And what kind of cheese was on that Burger King?
American cheese, always.
There you go. And it wasn't one of them bullshit Kraft Singles pre-wrapped cheeses. It was straight out the deli. If there is such a thing, high-quality American cheese, I got no problem with American cheese being like the cheaper, lesser cheese, man. It's a good cheese. It belongs on a hamburger. A cheeseburger.
Hey, it's American cheese, man. I mean, America, you can't get no better than that. You know what I mean? So that's what it is. It's the best cheese for sandwiches and burgers and just eating it by itself.
There it is. And we're not saying another cheese does not belong on a burger, but it's an American combination. You got a cheeseburger and American cheese. Figure it out, people. I ain't got to spell it out for you. let's break down this event. Let's really dig into it, man. There was a lot of Raider legends in the building. Bill Romanowski out there. You had Cliff Branch, Mervin Fernandez, the great Judge Lester Hayes was in the building. And, of course, you had Raider Brass out there. John Gruden himself was there. I was surprised to see Reggie McKenzie. Were you shocked to see McKenzie in the building?
I was shocked to see Reggie McKenzie. And it was good to see him out there. He was fired up. I mean, he looked like he was ready to put on pads and a helmet and get out there on the field right then. His first sentence was, "Let's go play a game right now."
Yeah, and for
the fans all fired up on that.
For a dude that doesn't address the media very often, for him to come out there and like shake hands and take photos and sign autographs and speak on the mic, I mean, that was tremendous, dude. Reggie doesn't strike me as the social type dude. I mean, even when he does his press conferences, it's quiet, subdued, reserved, but he was letting it rip out there, man.
He was letting it rip, and he even answered a question for me, and I was shocked that he stopped and took the time to really address my question. You know what I mean? I asked him how he felt about his son being drafted by Kansas City, and he stopped and took time to answer that question. He paused for a second, thought about what he was getting ready to say, and then he congratulated his son, of course, and then he said, "But any other team. It just could have been any other team." So he's a Raider through and through, GM, but he's a Raider first.
Yeah, he really meant that too, and that's honest, man. That's honest, and but I'm sure he said it with a smile on his face, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool dude.
Absolutely.
Man. Real cool dude.
Very cool dude. Actually, the whole brass was very addressing that day. I mean, they addressed you. They met with the crowd. They shook hands, signed autographs, took pictures. I appreciate that. Shout out to John Gruden for making this. I call it a peace party, a peace offering.
Yeah,
and it turned out well.
So let's segue because Reggie's not the only guy you asked a question to. Later in the event, let's just say this. We lined up at 3. They opened gates at 4. We got in there. The event was rolling from the beginning. It kind of ramped up, I'd say about 5:30, right when John showed up. That's when the audience was at its critical mass, and then it started to thin out a little bit. At about 6:30, you and I are hanging out by the back gate, just minding our own business, sitting by the grill, talking, chopping it up. We met a couple pillagers out there, having a good time, and up rolls a black SUV, windows tinted out, and me and you looked at each other like, who is this? Who's this going to be? And out walks Mark Davis.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Let's just say it wasn't too much excitement from my part on that, but I won't touch too much on that. I don't want to hurt too many fans.
No. We'll say, I guess to put it lightly, it was a mixed reaction at best. Obviously, John Gruden shows up. He's the man of the hour. The place went bananas. When Mark showed up, it was a combination of confusion, excitement, and some disappointment. And I think a lot of people, what was on my mind is, why did he wait till 6:30 to show up? You got to feel, and this is fair to say that there's folks in Oakland that don't feel too highly about Mark Davis, and all the reasons for that are quite obvious. And you got to imagine he was filling out the crowd. Obviously, the people were out there probably reporting back to him and told him maybe this is a good time for you to show up. Now, I got a lot of mixed feelings about Mark too. I got to give him some respect for showing up and showing face. He did that. That was a brave thing to do. But you did ask him a question, and you had mentioned this earlier in the day. An idea that I thought was a great idea is if the Raider organization, and this is your idea, if the Raider organization could keep training camp in Napa for the California fans, I think that would be a real cool, classy thing to do. So what did you ask Mark Davis? What was his response?
Well, I got his attention. He looked at me. He had my attention, and I said, "Hey, why don't you keep camp in Napa?" And his response to me was, "Yeah, you got camp coming up in a week, buddy." And he started walking, towards me, but past me. And as he was passing by, I said, "No, I meant 2021." And he just kind of giggled and walked off. He doesn't want to talk about it, or,
no,
in my opinion, take any accountability for, having to explain his reasons. So It is what it is.
Well, I'm glad you fired that question at him. I think it was a respectable way of kind of checking to see where he's at. You know, there's people that you know, they threw the F-bomb at him and stuff, and then there was just as many people, more people really, you know, lining up to get his autograph and take pictures. So there was love and there was hate in the building. Definitely more love. I'm going to be fair and say that there was definitely more people, you know, excited to see him. But I thought that was a good question to ask, and you know, disappointing response. I just think that's a great idea, and that's the reason why I brought it up is leaving something behind here for the California fans. Because if I'm already hearing words that Jerry Jones might swoop and move Cowboys training camp out to Napa. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it's a rumor I saw on Twitter this morning. Take it for what it is. It's a rumor on Twitter, but you know, if it's true, there's somebody else with their eyes on Napa. It would just be really cool to have the silver and black there. At least we, as Cali fans and those that are Cali season ticket holders here in Northern California, would be able to go up and still take advantage of that. Something that us California fans can still lay claim to and own a little bit. But man, I thought that was great. You had the courage, and the way you asked him to, man, it was respectful. It was on the level. You were real cool about it, and thought it was cool. I mean, at least he stopped and he gave an answer. We didn't have to be happy with it, but he gave an answer, you know, for what it's worth, man. But what were some of your thoughts and takeaways of the event as a whole? Like, what did you enjoy about it? What do you think about it?
Well, you know, it's just another way to show how strong this fan base is in the community, how strong we come together and we party together, we cheer together, we laugh together, we drink together, we smoke together. I mean, this fan base is really a brotherhood. It really, truly is, and it showed itself Friday. I guarantee you it did. And if you missed the event, I'm sorry you did, but it was something worth taking. I took off 2 jobs, 16 hours. I took 2 jobs off to make the event. So, you know, it was that important, and it was well worth it. And I would do it again, all over.
Absolutely, man. It's too bad we don't have more of that stuff. While we were sitting out there, you were talking about the Raider fan rallies they used to have out in Jack London Square. Did this feel a little bit like that to you?
Yeah, it did. Actually, the only thing that was missing from it were the actual Raider players. Now, had he showed up with the draft picks, that would have been just like Jack London Square.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, or if there, just it didn't have players. If the players were there, you're looking at a really bona fide Raider rally from the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been cool. I would imagine the new CBA has probably something to do with that, right? Them not being able to be in the same building with each other right now. You think that had something to do with it?
You know, I'm not sure, because I think the CBA in that part of the deal ended with mini camps. I thought between mini camp and training camp there weren't any restrictions. I'm really not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really not sure.
Yeah. That would have been cool to see some players, man. It was really cool to meet Lester Hayes. Obviously I wasn't avidly watching football during his era. You got a few years on me, Kane, but looking back, you know, growing up, a lot of Raider fans embrace the history. Even if you weren't around for it, you've gone back, you've watched the highlights, you've watched the NFL film special. Sometimes you're lucky enough to find a full game on YouTube or in someone's archives, and Lester Hayes is one of those guys that really epitomizes what it means to be a Raider. Guys like him, Jack Tatum, Kenny Stabler. I mean, he just kind of, you know, that 1970 Raiders swagger, and that was cool to meet him. I happened to be wearing his jersey, so I got it signed. I'm never going to wear that jersey again. Like you said, that's going in a frame now, and that was a cool event, man. I'd like to see the organization do more of this down the road as just sort of a parting gift, or, you know, I don't know what to call it really, but as they leave Oakland, it'd be good to leave the fans with a few memories like this before they go. So, man, it was unreal to see John Gruden right there. Now, you've met him before. We talked about this a little bit. You met him when you were a younger man. You know, did he look different to you? Was his energy the same? I mean, it was electric the moment he walked out onto that patio. How did this compare to when you first met him?
He hasn't changed a bit. He's gotten older, but he doesn't look like it. He's still got that fire. He's still got that energy. He's got that passion. Same John Gruden. Dirty football hat, football dress, and he just looked like he was ready to get out there and coach a game. Actually, I mean that's what he looked like, and his energy was just above everybody else's at the party. It was just like one step above everybody else's. He got out of his SUV energetic and stayed that way the whole night. I mean, there was no letdown. And he didn't stay in VIP. He came out a few times, you know, and even gave out T-shirt. I mean, this guy hasn't changed a bit. He hasn't changed a bit. I'm excited. It's got me fired up. No, one thing, and I'm not, I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth, man, but they're giving away gear, and you and I walked away with a couple tees, and I was shocked when I got home that these are like unofficially non-licensed Fruit of the Loom screen print, like, you know, parking lot bootleg T-shirts. I mean, I think that's cool. I'm gonna rock anything with the Raiders logo, but I was like, man, Raiders really out here bootlegging their own gear. This is wild, man. I know, right? I know, but the hats were official NFL. The hats they were giving away, but the t-shirts, yeah, they was the ones that was bootleg. But you know what? They're like cool, you said, anything with Raider on, exactly. They good. They thick too. Nice thick T-shirts. Yeah. So I mean, it was well worth it. Yeah. Well worth it. It was cool. A lot of thought definitely went into that event. I got people asking on YouTube right now, was this a Raiders deal or a John deal? Look, the owner of Ricky's Sports Bar came out in the morning. She told us herself this was 100% John's idea. He's getting ready to take off for training camp, and he wanted to get fired up. And we were kind of behind the stage while he was giving his speech, but we were really close. We were watching him, and he said he wanted to get a video to show the players. So he brought out his phone, and he videotaped the crowd doing the Raiders chant and getting real hype. And it was cool, man. Coach put a little bit of coach on us at that point. He put a little bit of the charm on us at that point. I thought that was really cool. Prior to the event, I think it was probably around 1 o'clock. You and I had taken a walk to kind of scout out the scene over at Ricky's. And when we came back, the rest of our camp, they had mentioned, what was his name? Todd Delaney. I think he's a Raiders PR guy. Tom Delaney. Tom Delaney. Yeah, he had come by. Shout out to Tom Delaney. He had come by the tailgate. He said that John Gruden was texting him. He wanted to know what the turnout was like, if there was already fans there. And he took a picture of the crew, sent it off to John, and showed the crew the text. And John was like, great. This is great. Thought that was pretty cool. That was something to be excited about. That whole day was unforgettable, man. Yeah. It was unforgettable. I'm going to put that in my notch in my book of Raider lore that I've been going through for these last 45 years of my life, for 44 years since I've been like 6 years old. Yeah. That's one of the most incredible events I've been to. Wow. You're never going to get closer to a coaching staff, former players, as you would have at this event. I mean, Ricky's is small, intimate as it is. They created a patio. They rented a fence and created a large patio, but this felt like a family cookout, except instead of your family members, John Gruden was there, right? Actually, man, when I'm around other Raider fans, I feel like I'm around family members. That's what I was saying a few ticks back. I feel like we are brotherhood, and when we all together, there's no bickering, no fighting amongst fans, no arguing back and forth. It's just straight love. Yeah. And I can't say enough about this fan base when it comes to that. Yep. 100%, man. It was definitely a cool day. A couple other things happened this week, man. So we had, Greg Papa and Tom Flores are now out as the voices of the Oakland Raiders. Both of them were in the booth together for about 20 years, going back to 1997. Obviously, Tom's time with the team spans many decades, but that time in the booth. How do you feel about this, man? I'm taking it pretty hard, not as hard as some of the fans I see out there threatening to quit the team because of this, but this is a blow, right? This was sort of a torpedo, right? Yeah, my thing is why now? Yeah. Why now? Why now? Why couldn't he and Tom ride this out with the rest of us that's going through this move right now? You know, my thing is, okay, if you want to change in Vegas, if Papa doesn't want to go to Vegas, then, let that be in 2020. But let the fans and the Bay Area fans and the fans that listen to the radio broadcast or the fans that listen to the post-game broadcast, let us enjoy that for at least one more season. Give a goodbye year. But I guess, they have to get ready for Vegas, and time moves on. It is what it is, man. Got to let it go. Yeah, that is the really disappointing thing about this is Papa
and his rapport with John Gruden. I was really looking forward to hearing those post-game interviews with him on the air, on Monday afternoon, Tuesday afternoon, and just seeing Papa kind of ride out the rest of the Oakland tenure. And that's not going to happen now. So it seems premature, man. I was pretty shocked. I knew this was going to happen just by what Papa was saying. I just, like you, I didn't think it was going to happen this soon. So, man, his voice is going to be missed. It's I'm going to reserve judgment on Musburger until I hear it and hear what it sounds like. And let's be honest, you and I are usually at the game during that time. But, I'll listen back, or at least in the highlights. It's just, not even listening, it's just going to be weird just knowing that he's not there. But again, it's we've said it before. This is a time of change for Raider Nation, and with change comes some lumps, man. You got to take your lumps. Some of the stuff's going to be hard to swallow, and don't know how much more is going to change, man. And they start getting into the uniforms and the logos. I don't know. That's too much. If it goes that far, I don't know. I just don't even know. I don't know what to say. I can't even.
Yeah, I hope they don't change the uniforms. That was one thing that Al wasn't with the changing the uniforms, and I hope Mark keeps that tradition going in the Raider family. Keep the uniforms the same. We don't need nothing new. Yeah. We got enough new shit going on right now, enough to swallow. So
yeah, Yeah, man. It's interesting. It's I said already earlier in the show. For those of you that weren't going to games during the blackout period that live locally, how close you got with Greg Papa's voice. We were listening on the radio those days. If you couldn't watch it on TV and you couldn't afford a ticket like me, just come in. I was like 22. I couldn't afford a ticket at that time. And, I was going to some games, but for a while there, I didn't go to a Raiders game for a long time, and they weren't on my television, and I had to listen to them on the radio. And, he could definitely give you goosebumps. Greg Papa had that kind of voice. He had that kind of talent. A lot of people are very critical of him. I think you need to separate Greg Papa, the radio guy, like the 95.7, the game, afternoon drive guy. You got to separate that Greg Papa from the booth Greg Papa. I think they're very different skill sets. And I think, I like to listen to him on the radio, but I feel like he shines in the booth. People tell me he's getting names wrong and he's all over the place. I'm not hearing that, man.
I'm not hearing that either.
That's a tough job to have. People are going to make mistakes, but, man, the amount of detail and the story and the backstories Papa gives you during a game broadcast, you're just not going to get that with Musburger, man.
No, he lets you know where everybody's on the field. He lets you know the pre-snap. He's really good in pre-snap. His color might not be as good, but his pre-snap is good. His post-snap is good. So, the thing is we get it. We as Bay Area fans that do listen to 95.7 The Game, and those of you that listen on the internet, when you listen to Greg Pop in the afternoon and after the games, you get a little bit of extra added from that because he did broadcast the game. So, and he was close to the team. So he had a lot of inside information that you could gather, a little bit more intriguing information that you might want to hear other than just the normal or the people that just cover the team, So that he's going to be missed. He's going to be missed. And I guess just like with everything else, we got to move on.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Got to move on. You definitely know players ain't texting Musburger and having conversations with him off the air like they did with Papa. So all that insight and all that is going to be gone. But maybe that's something that Lincoln can bring to the broadcast, man. I'm real proud. A recurring guest on the show. Thanks to you, Kane, a guy that we've gotten to meet at the tailgate, definitely in touch with the fans. Humble dude. Fantastic player. He's done a tremendous job on the sideline. Chalk Talk with Lincoln Kennedy on YouTube. You can check that out. And now he's got a shot at being the color commentator. I think that's the bright side about this. Much love to Tom Flores. What I'm going to say is a little bit controversial, but I think if anyone was making mistakes on the broadcast, it was Tom. I kind of felt at times he couldn't keep up with Greg. And all respect to Tom Flores, man. You're a Raiders great. But I think Lincoln is probably an upgrade there. I would have really loved to hear Lincoln Kennedy alongside Greg Papa. That would have been cool.
Yeah, I think age and alcohol played a little part in Tom's broadcasting, but you know what? He's a Raider.
Yeah.
And it is what it is, But you're right. If anybody was making mistakes, it was Flores. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's again, we got to move on. So hopefully Link can inject some energy into that broadcast. And some people are saying that Musburger's a stopgap, and if that's true, hopefully Link is not. Hopefully Link stays for the course. Get him paired up with a young guy, energetic guy, and imagine Lincoln Kennedy and Rich Gannon doing your broadcast. That would be pretty cool.
Oh man, Lincoln Kennedy and Tim Brown, you said?
Ooh, I said Rich Gannon, but Tim Brown would be good too.
Okay. Yeah, no, with Rich Gannon, yeah. Or imagine, and I know this is kind of going off the side a little bit, but Tony Romo would have been a good fit. I like listening to Tony Romo, and I like his broadcast. I know this is going outside the box of what we're talking about, but if we want to just talk about adding some people, then, they could have went after Romo, probably would have been a better, to me. He's younger. He's got 20 years in him. You know what I'm saying? 20 broadcast years. We don't know how long Musburger's going to last. He's 78, 79 years old. He's got a 3-year deal. They're going to eventually have to transition into somebody else. So, I'm throwing Tony Romo's name out there because I like his broadcast.
Yeah, that would be superstar right there. That'd be fantastic. He is really good, man. He's a smart dude. When he's broadcasting for our team, I hope the other coaches aren't listening because he seems to call everything in advance, man.
Doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's good pre-snap. He's great pre-snap. Well, he's a quarterback, offensive coordinator. So yeah. He knows offenses like the back of his hand. It's really excited to listen to him.
Yeah.
Hopefully he broadcasts a few of our games this year.
Maybe John Gruden's son Mike, DJ Mike Gruden, maybe he'll get up in the booth. What did I say to you? I was wondering if John Gruden was happy that his son Mike chose a DJ career path, considering, that's a football family. And I want to know how that conversation went. If he was like, you know what, Dad, I think I want to be a DJ. And John's like, I'll tell you what, Mike, we got a family full of great football minds. You want to be a goddamn DJ? All right. All right.
Hey, you know what? That kid can be anything he wants. His dad is making $100 million.
Yeah.
He can go collect cans, and he ain't gonna be. That wealth ain't. They wealthy. They ain't. That money ain't going nowhere. He don't need to do nothing important.
Yeah. I tell you what, man. You want to be a DJ? Yep. You're gonna DJ my party. That's what's gonna happen. We're gonna have a party. Go ahead.
I was just saying he did a good job too, man. He spun the wheels really good.
Yeah. Kept the crowd moving. He had a little bit of everything going there. It was good. The party kind of felt like the way it was set up, it was casual, man. It felt like a cool ass wedding reception or graduation party or something. It felt important. It felt casual. It felt like family. It did. Before you get out of here, man, we got a couple more things to talk about. So I want to jump to a new subject here. Rest in peace to Tony Sperano. He passed away today, 56 years old, a young 56 years old. It's scary, man. It's scary for folks like us. We're around that age, and cause of death is unknown right now. It appears to be maybe a heart attack, which, man, that could take anybody. I've seen people in top health just get taken out by a heart attack out of nowhere. So it was scary, man. You remember Tony Sperano's, he had a 5-year stint, offensive line coach, obviously interim head coach after Dennis Allen. What were your thoughts on Sperano when we had him? I know we used to talk about Sperano a lot on the blog. I think we called him Shades. What was your feeling about Sperano when he was here with Oakland?
He brought us out of the darkness. When they fired Dennis Allen, and we went through 10 weeks without winning a game, and he got us our first victory after 10 weeks of no victories.
Yeah.
We were in shambles that year. And I was looking at a locker room video, and he looked like he had the team's attention. He looks like, he was the man while he was here for the short period of time. But if you're asking me, he brought us out of the dark. He was a part of bringing us out of the darkness.
Yeah, he was a part of that reemergence there, getting Carr his first win there in Kansas City and moving on and eventually handing the reins over to Jack Del Rio. Fans will remember him as the guy that buried the football, but he's the guy that reinstilled faith in this team. And I'm not talking about the fan base. I'm talking about the players. These guys kept losing week after week after week, yet never did it look like they gave up, right? They just kept on fighting until they finally got over the hump, and then Jack took it from there until the train wreck that was 2017. But, yeah, man, Sperano was a part of that changing of the guard. So hats off to you, Sperano. Much love to the Sperano family. Tony seemed like a tremendous dude. He's getting a lot of love from players on Twitter today. So really hard to see a guy like that go out. Such a big heart. Once a Raider, always a Raider, man. Once a Raider, always a Raider. And then last, we finally get to start talking about some football, man. We're just a few weeks away from football, preseason football, watered-down football, but football nonetheless. You get to see John Gruden on the sideline, and it looks like they had a player visit today. They had Bashan Breeland come in, formerly of the Cincinnati Bengals, a guy we talked about during the free agency run here. He had previously signed a pretty big deal. I think it was with the Carolina Panthers. I could be wrong there. And then didn't pass physical, so he got waived on, and now he's back in good health, and he's making his rounds. So he's visiting with us today and tomorrow. Then he's off to visit the Chiefs, who are desperately hurting for a corner. What do you think, man? You think what are the odds of Braylon landing in the silver and black?
Well, did he play under Paul Gunther?
Yes, he did.
Oh well, we might have a big advantage there. These players they don't like, they like the same. They kind of, if you play, I'll give you an example. Donald Penn said one of the reasons he came to the Raiders was because of Tony Sperano. So being that Paul Gunther was a defensive coordinator in Cincinnati, hopefully that gives us a leg up on Kansas City as far as signing Breeland.
Yeah. Yeah, I would hope so. And I think there's guys that we've wanted once they get in the building, they don't get out of the building. So we're going to find out, I would think, by tomorrow afternoon if Breeland is going to be an Oakland Raider. This is a guy that I wanted. I thought at the time we can get him less for TJ Carey. I think his skill set's different than Carey. But at that point you got Melvin, Conley, and Breeland. I know he did well on the outside last year. 3 years prior to that, he didn't do well on the outside, but he excelled in the slot. He's a bigger dude. It would be pretty cool to see a trio out there of Breeland, Conley, and Melvin. That would definitely shore up our secondary and give us some much-needed help on the outside there.
Absolutely. But don't count out Nick Nelson.
Oh, right.
Don't count out the young draft pick. If he comes back healthy from the knee injury, he can be good. He could be formidable, more than good. He can be great. He's a good cornerback. I watched him play in college. The only question is his knee. If he comes back from the injury, we may not need. I mean that may be something a point where they look at like, okay, too much money, we got Nelson. So let's just hope this guy don't get money bags on us.
Right. And, the thing that's kind of a head scratcher about this, and John Gruden and Mackenzie alluded to this on Friday, is they're trying to figure out a way to get Mac back here. And I don't know that signing a guy like Breeland is a part of the plan of signing Mac. And I said a few weeks ago on the show, to much controversy, that Mac wouldn't be signing a deal this year. I got blasted for it on Reddit, on my own website, on Twitter. People are like, you don't have sources. Who are you, Kenny Stable? You ain't got no sources. Look, I got a source. It's a good source. I checked it out with another source. Seems to ring true. Here we are talking to guys like Breeland. Mac is still waiting in the wings. What's going on, man? Are you nervous about Khalil Mack yet?
No, I'm not. I'm not nervous. This is how contract talks negotiations go. There's two other guys out there that haven't signed deals yet that are in that same bracket as Mac. And they all three know they haven't signed. And the first one that signs is going to end up with the less amount of money. So this is a waiting game. So what essentially has to happen is the first person that signs has to sign for a really big, like $125 million contract. And then that may lead to the other two signing. The last person that signs is going to get the most money. That's just how it works. And so Mac ain't going to be the last person as far as he's concerned, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. And Aaron Donald ain't going to be the last person as far as he's concerned, I'm sure. And same goes for Clowney.
Yeah.
So until one of these guys sign, the dominoes won't fall. They'll stand tall.
It's like the last scene in Reservoir Dogs, everybody pointing guns at each other. We got to wait till somebody pulls the trigger, man. We definitely got to get Khalil Mack paid. I still feel like he's going to be a Raider. I don't think he's going to pull a Kawhi Leonard and sit out the season. That would just hurt his stock tremendously. A player like Mack wants to get out there on the field and prove that he's worth every dollar that he's got coming to him. But here we go. Training camp starts this week, correct? And then I think vets are actually reporting next week is what I heard. They're going to stagger the training camp. Rookies are going to be the first week and then vets. So by next week, we should have a Khalil Mack signing in training camp. Now, what's your feeling going to be if he sits out all of training camp as well? I mean, you don't see him in the preseason, none of that. What do you think happens there?
Well, the character of the person, Khalil Mack, doesn't sit out of camp. The contract negotiation person of Khalil Mack sits out of camp. I'm sorry, fans, but this is just how the players go. You guys don't act like you ain't never saw it before. Khalil Mack is a player, but he's also a man and he got a family. So, if he sits out, hopefully it's only for the first couple of weeks. If he doesn't get into camp, look for our season to go awry a bit. That's not going to be good. Unless Arden Key is what he was in his sophomore year.
Right. Yeah, good point. And that's a lot to ask, right? I mean, at the NFL level, first year, who knows? Maybe he's the breakout star, but if not, I mean, we're going to sag tremendously without Khalil Mack. There's nobody on this roster right now that can match him without, really shocking the world at this point if they did. But that's a good segue. If you don't mind, man, stick around for this next segment. It's the ICU segment, Kane, and in direct response to this conversation, Donald Day over on YouTube, his comment is, Derek needs to be the leader and get Mack into camp, in his opinion. Here's what I got to say about this, Don, and then I'll turn it over to Kane. I mean, I don't disagree with you, but what is it that Derek's going to do to get Mack in here? Derek's not going to pay him. And as many people have said, you don't mess with another man's money. There's no doubt in my mind that Derek and Mack are still best of friends and they're still talking, but that's not his responsibility, and he's not get in the way of Mack getting paid. Sure, he wants him on the team. He wants to win games with them, but he knows what Mack's owed. Derek went through this last year. He's not going to – you didn't see Mack, getting in the way of Derek Carr's money last year. It played out. They got it all signed up, and Derek reported. I mean, what do you think about that, Kane? Is this on Derek Carr's shoulders right now?
This is my response to that. The question, the person who asked the question, if you make $50,000 a year on your job and you got a chance to make $80,000 a year on your job, and your person negotiating your pay for you told you they need you, but if you don't come in, eventually they'll break and pay you. And then one of your coworkers called you and told you need to get your ass to work. What would your response be? That's my question. That's the answer to your question.
Well put. I'm just gonna let that breathe right there, just like it is. That was perfectly stated. Bro, we're at the end of the show. You don't get to do shout outs every week with us, man. It's time for you to do some shout outs. You got some shout outs you want to give?
Oh man, I'm bad with names, man, and I'm not too scholastic, so I don't write shit down before the show. I'm pretty much going off the top of my head. But there was a couple of guys out at the Raider rally.
Oh yeah.
And we hooked up with those guys. I want to give a shout out to them, and I also want to give a shout out to the people that listen to us, that looked for us at Ricky's. I was like shocked and humbled. Like,
yeah.
We just do like a little podcast every week and we get a few listeners, and it was a shock to see people come up to me and say, "Are you Kane?" Like that was a shock to me. So I want to give a shout out to all the listeners out there. We are, I guess we just learned that our show is important, and I want to thank everybody for listening to the Pillaging Podcast and continue listening.
Absolutely, man. And I got the names in my phone, so I can tell you, Rick Fernandez, man, it was cool meeting you. Rick, you were slick, man. You were standing there right next to us, and you were like, have you guys seen those Pillaging Podcast guys around here anywhere? And Kane fell out laughing, and I was like, yeah, this is Kane right here. He's like, I thought that was you guys. And, man, we kicked it with Rick for a minute, and Only One Checkers came out. He was out there. Cool dude. We met this guy, Anthony, that was on there from Reddit. He basically bolted across the patio, man. Like you said, it was shocking and definitely humbling to meet these folks out there. I knew we had fans, so to speak, but I just look at everybody out here like peers. But for someone to come up to us like, yo, man, that was cool, man. We really feel the love. And we got the same love for you guys, because if there was nobody listening to our show, we would have quit doing this a long time ago. I mean, we have a good time, but with no audience, there's no show. So this is really all about you guys. So shout out to all of y'all. Shout out to, you know what? Shout out to Dirt Lot. Shout out to IR Johnny, and shout out to Friskies. The three of you have made some real big contributions and donations this past month. There's been some other donations coming in too, and I don't have the list in front of me, but because of all of you in the last month, we pretty much have the funds we need to put together our tailgate broadcasting kit. All I'm waiting on right now is some graphics we're waiting on from Chase Brother. So we're going to get that going. And when you see us out there in the tailgate doing the thing, you guys bought that. You guys made that happen. So shout out to you for sure. And, man.
Shout out to Toby Zambetti.
Absolutely, man. Toby Zambetti.
For holding down the spot.
Silver and Black 666, dude. He's on Twitter now as Toby Zambetti. You can follow him. You can find him through Kane's profile at KaneMT6. Let's get you to 1,000 followers, Kane. Everybody that's listening to the show that's not following Kane yet, shame on you. You should be following him. You should be following at PJ4F. You should be already following the show. If you're not following the show, I don't know what you're doing. But make sure you follow those cats. Follow Toby, man. He got there at 7 o'clock in the morning to hold a spot that, in hindsight, didn't need to be held, but better safe than sorry. We thought.
Now that's Raider fandom right there. That's
there.
Raider fandom right there. Toby lives in the South Bay. I'm not going to say what city. He lives in the South Bay, far from San Leandro, a good hour and a half drive.
Yeah.
And he was there at 7 a.m. Props out to my boy Toby, for real.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so Toby was holding it down. I was like, who's there, man? He's like, just me. And I was like, wow. And then I called him again at 9. Who's there? He's like, just me. I was like, wow. And then I got there at 10:30. There was like 4 or 5 other cars there. Kane, you showed up shortly after. They were going to cap the event at 500. Sad to say, I think it probably peaked out around 350. There might have been 500 in and out of there all day, but never out one time, which, again, is a good and a bad thing. I was expecting, just a drove of fans at the gates. But, hey, more room for us. Gave us better access to the coach and the players, and everyone had a room to spread out and do their thing, and it was comfortable, and we had a good time, man. I had a good time with you this week, bro, and I'm looking forward. It just made me jonesing for that Raider tailgate, and we get out there and do our thing again this season, bro.
Absolutely, and to any of those of you that go to the games week in and week out, as we do, we tailgate in D-Lot. We're usually around row 16 or row 17, between row 16 and row 18, all the way at the end by the freeway, anywhere from the middle to the end by the freeway. You can catch us down there. We're there early from like 9, maybe 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, all the way until game time. Come check us out. Come have a beer. Come get a bite to eat. Shake a hand, and we'd be happy to see you. And
shout out to Dirt Lot too. His tailgate's in A Lot, right up there against D Lot. So we'll bounce back and forth. I don't know how many games Dirt's going to go to this year, but out of respect to both camps, because everyone's Pillagers, both camps there, we'll probably be broadcasting, setting up on the corner right there between both lots. And we're not going to do the whole entire tailgate, man. We got to get our drink on. We got to get our food on. But we'll be out there for a good hour broadcasting. So come find us between A Lot and D Lot. Follow us back. Bring something to grill. Bring something to drink. Bring something, and we'll take care of the rest, man. But we appreciate you, Raider Nation, all of you Pillagers out there. We appreciate you quite a bit, man. Thanks for coming on the show this week, Kane. It was a good conversation, dog.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure. And I just want to end this segment by saying rest in peace to Greg Papa and Tom Flores. It's been a pleasure. I've been a fan for 20 years, and I wish you all the best. And I know Tom is going to still be around the Raiders. And Greg, I wish you all the best, not in your Niners job, but in life.
Well said, man. Very, very well said. And we'll catch up with you next week as we push forward, as we move into this regular season, man. It's the home stretch of this hot off season. Time to get some football going, bro.
Go Raiders, baby.
Go Raiders.
All right. Peace.
Yeah, and just tremendous right there. Tremendous segment, man. And just to round out these shout-outs, I want to give a shout-out to Shauner. Shout-out to Alan Dobson. Shout-out to Dan Slayton. Again, Rick Fernandez, Checkers. Anthony out there on Reddit. Shout-out to Alex, who we met at the event. He goes by Swaggering Boisterously, now already logged in over at pj4f.com. Meloso Zacatecano. Shout out to Kevin Heyer, Edward Rodriguez, Shane Gill, Andrew Martinez, Michael Odin, L23T, Mad Max, Sean B. Shout out to TJ Laugh, Odie76, Johnny Mac, MJ LaMonica, El Plebe Juan. Shout out to Javi, who's listening at work. Javi's my coworker. Turned him on to the show. Big Raiders fan. I'll see you Monday, brother. Shout out to West Coast Defense, Torrey Paz, Gary Lee Wilson, Cheryl Burnham, Raider Neal, Ivan Rodriguez, Wolf Randolph, Big B81, Ricky Bars, Raider Arcanum, Big Bad Wayne Mabry, The Violator. Shout out to you, man. Thanks for the follow. Shout out to Sunday Silence, Haroon Ali, and the Stabler Foundation. Make sure you follow these guys on Twitter. I always tweet out the shout outs every week, so you find that tweet. Just follow all those cats. There's many more of you who I didn't get to. It's been like 3 weeks. We've had a lot of follows and a lot of new listeners file in. I'm sorry for those of you I didn't get to. Again, shout out to everybody that's made donations. It's been coming in. We're headed down the home stretch of this season. It feels good to have the account flush with some funds so we can get some stuff done, get the production value going up in this show. Hell, maybe I'll fix my air conditioner someday. But yeah, man, I just want to say thank you to everybody out there. And definitely a big shout out to Scott Odell for joining the show. And to my lady, proud of you, running that 10K, baby. And very last, but definitely not least, shout out to Che sitting at home. I know you're going to listen to this tomorrow. I hope the family's doing well, brother. I miss your face. Hopefully see you next week. Hopefully a strong recovery. And hopefully you don't get sick, man, because I know what that's like sitting in the house with the sick family, and you got to be there. I just hope that everybody recovers nicely, and I hope you had a nice trip out there in Tahoe, bro. It's a beautiful place and a good time to go there, and I'm glad to see you get out with the family, the vacation pics and all that. And shout out to the rest of you guys out there, everyone over on pj4f.com. We appreciate it. Everybody on YouTube, we appreciate it. We'll get caught up on the shout outs next week. And stay tuned. We out here. Peace. Go Raiders.
Just win, baby.